Sliding the trust fund transfer papers across his desk, he said, "It's done. All $2 million will go to Jennifer instead." My name is Emma Chin, and at the age of 28, I was being written off by my family for the last time. The mahogany walls of my father's study appeared to close in as he signed the final document with a flourish. The scratching of his M blank pen against paper felt like nails on a chalkboard. My mother sighed from her seat on the leather armchair by the window, trying to conceal her triumphant smile as she watched our father disinherit me. "Emma, if you just went to law school like your sister, if you just applied yourself, I did apply myself," I said quietly, watching my father's expression darken. "But not to what you wanted," he snapped, getting up. I could have told them that what they perceived as computer play was actually the creation of an ad-driven financial technology platform that was set to transform global markets. I could have also brought up the Series B tower over his desk. "Your sister may be a partner at Thompson & Mitchell at 32, while you're coding websites for small businesses living in that tiny apartment in the city." Next week, I had a funding meeting with venture capitalists who had already valued my company at $300 million, but I didn't. I discovered long ago that my family only saw what they wanted to see. "You're right," I said, but instead of getting up, I stood up and said, "I'm obviously disappointed." Jennifer shifted uneasily by the window for a brief moment, and I saw the sister I used to know, who helped me with my math homework before our parents' expectations caused a rift between us. Emma began, but I held up a hand and said, "It's okay, Jen. Congratulations on becoming a partner." As I was about to leave, my mother called after me, "Will you at least join us for dinner? Your father has reserved a table at Le Bernardin to celebrate Jennifer's promotion." I made one final turn around and took in the scene: my mother's practice worries, my father's disapproving frown, Jennifer's mixture of triumph and guilt, the study walls lined with law degrees and bar association awards, and there wasn't a single picture of me or my accomplishments. I said, "I have a meeting," but while enjoying dinner, I had time to reflect that the trust fund had never been. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya, my CTO, and VCs moved the meeting to tomorrow because they were worried about the money, which I already had more than enough of, and what it represented. When Jennifer and I were born, our parents set up identical trusts for us, intended to be released on our 33rd birthdays, but with a clause allowing them to reroute the funds if they believed one of us was not living up to the family standards. When I arrived at my apartment, the small room my father had scorched, I kicked off my heels and went straight to my home office, where wall-mounted screens showed real-time data from our system's most recent test run numbers. As I scrolled past each one, it signified another successful prediction and validation. I was ready, grinning, and thinking about the presentation we prepared, more than ready. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Jennifer. I apologized for Dad's text. Playing with computers, which my father disapproved of, had led to the development of advanced neural analytics and ATGAN adaptive trading heuristics. This system could predict market movements with previously unheard of accuracy by analyzing millions of data points to find patterns that human traders could never see. I read the message and noticed that even Jennifer's attempt at being kind ended with a tacit rejection of my work. "Thank you, Jen," I replied, "enjoy dinner," and then I returned to my screens to pull up the pitch deck for tomorrow's EC meeting. The numbers were astounding, and our beta testing had revealed that ATA was outperforming traditional. A gentle chime signaled an incoming video call from Maya, whose face appeared on one of the screens with her usual energy somewhat subdued. She asked how things were going with the family, and I replied, running a hand through my hair, "How's it going?" Dad signed over my trust fund to Jennifer here, celebrating. Major banks were already quietly reaching out, hoping to gain early access to the technology, trading algorithms by 32%. I pulled up another screen with Ada's most recent test results. "Actually, I've been wondering what would happen if we didn't take the VC money." Maya's eyes widened. "Emma, we're talking about a $15 million investment at a $300 million valuation. That's small thinking." At a Bernardin right now, Maya shook her head. "They lost you. Are you ready to show those DCists tomorrow what real success looks like?" With these figures, Maya, we don't need venture capital funding. We could go public in a year and keep total control. I smile when I consider my father's expression at the IPO ceremony, which truly shows them what computer processing can do. Maya was silent for a while, but then a slow smile appeared on her face. "You want to create an empire. I want to create something that even my father can't ignore. I fixed something that Your father is a corporate lawyer, and Maya pointed out that if it's as revolutionary as we believe, wouldn't he have heard about A and I? I laughed. Maya, my father still uses a BlackBerry and believes that coding is something you learn at a community college. He hasn't heard about ATN because he hasn't bothered to ask why I actually do his loss. So what's the play cancel? Maya said firmly. 6 months after being disinherited, I stood in our new office space in downtown Manhattan, watching our team of engineers work on a project that was in its final testing phase. The floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of the VC meeting, but instead of looking for investment, we pitched partnerships to open doors to their network of financial institutions. We don't need their money, we need their connections. I walked over with coffee in hand to look at Emma Maya's screen from her workstation, which had a perfect view of the financial district and the same institutions that would soon be revolutionized by our technology. The latest simulation results were beyond our most optimistic projections. She wasn't just predicting market movements. She was identifying market-moving events before they happened. Maya nodded, her eyes brimming with excitement as she leaned closer to examine the data. 3 days prior to the announcement of the Morgan Stanley merger, she noticed patterns in social media news articles and trading behavior that predicted the announcement. If this had been actual trading rather than a simulation, we would have made billions. I finished, "Have you shown this to the compliance team?" "That's the best part," she said. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer saying, "Hey sis, haven't heard from you in months." Parents are worried. Dad says your phone number at the apartment is disconnected. I smiled a little, but of course it was disconnected. Everything is completely legal, she said, pulling up another screen. Athena isn't using insider information. It's just better at connecting publicly available data points than any human could ever be. Entire operation to a 40 million office space 6 blocks from Wall Street, but my family still believed I was playing with computers in my small apartment. I texted back that I was fine, just busy with work. Another buzz came from our head of legal, David, who confirmed at that SEC meeting next week that they were interested in the compliance protocols, which was an understatement when they learned that we were working on something. My heart skipped a beat when our receptionist's voice came over the intercom and said, "There's a Mr. Thompson here to see you." He said he's from Thompson and Mitchell Jennifer's law firm, one of the biggest corporate law firms in the city. The SEC had practically begged for a meeting because they wanted to understand our technology before it hit the market. I said straight in my blazer as James Thompson, my sister's boss and senior partner, entered the room. He looked like the type of lawyer my father admired, with silver hair and a well-tailored suit that exuded old money confidence. "Thank you for seeing me without an appointment," he said, extending his hand. "I hope you will pardon the intrusion, but when we heard rumors about what you're developing here," he said. "You heard rumors, so I motioned for him to sit down, and he smiled politely. "Let's just say that some financial institutions are really interested in your technology. We have clients who asked us to look into possible relationships. Does my sister know you're here?" His smile wavered a little, "Jennifer." "No, this meeting is completely confidential, but I must admit I was taken aback to find out you were." Emma apologizes for interrupting, but the Goldman Sachs team is here for their demo. Thompson's eyebrows shot up at the mention of Goldman Sachs, and I could almost see him recalculating my worth in his head. Her sister has never mentioned that she has a sister who plays with computers, so I finished for him. "I imagine she has mentioned me a lot." He said, rising quickly, "But Chin, whatever Gold Moon is offering, we can match it. I have another meeting if you'd like to discuss potential relationships. You can contact our legal team to schedule something." Thompson and Mitchell represent half the major financial institutions in the city. I entered the room with a strange sense of satisfaction. It's not about the money, Mr. Thompson, it's about changing the game. "I'm sure you understand that after you left, Maya gave me a grumpy look. Did you like that?" "Maybe a little." I told him how long it would take him to tell Jennifer about our small business here, despite the fact that your sister's company has billions of dollars in financial interests. I'd estimate it was around 5 minutes. Sure enough, my phone buzzed again. "Emma, why didn't you tell me that Jim Thompson had just returned from your office looking like he had seen a ghost?" We had demonstration to get ready for the Goldman Sachs team, and 5 executives in pricey suits were already waiting in our conference room, trying not to look overly excited. This was a coup because getting Goldman as an early partner would open every door in the financial world, ladies and gentlemen. "What exactly are you working on?" I put my phone away without answering. There would be time for family revelations later. "Gentlemen," I started by standing at the head of the table. What you're about to witness will drastically alter how the markets function. But first, I need you all to sign these NDAs. On the morning of our IPO, I stood in front of my mirror, adjusting my Chanel suit, not wanting my parents to notice. The Wall Street Journal was sitting on my desk, and the front page featured our company's upcoming IPO. Set to launch the largest tech IPO of the year with an estimated valuation of $800 million. My phone had been ringing nonstop for days, first from Jennifer, then from my mother, and finally from my father. I'd let their messages pile up unanswered, but they would all be at the ceremony today. The invitations had been sent out weeks ago, and Maya asked to appear in my office doorway, trading her typical tech company casual attire. Wore a sharp business suit that was ready to go, I said, grabbing my presentation packet. How is Atna doing this morning? It seems like a dream, according to the most recent analysis, which reveals that she is forecasting market moves with 99. Everyone understands that this is going to change everything, and the trading floor is humming with 7% accuracy. We headed to the stock exchange, where masses had already. As we got closer, I caught snippets of their commentary. The exchange was buzzing with excitement, and our team had gathered near the podium alongside representatives from every major bank and financial institution in the country. Financial reporters lined the entrance, and the cameras flashed as we approached. The youngest female CEO to take a company public is a trading technology that already has contracts with major financial institutions. My mother kept wiping at her eyes with a handkerchief, and Jennifer just stared at me as if she was seeing her sister for the first time. My father stepped forward as I approached the podium, and we had no idea. I calmly said, "You didn't because you never did." The city and my family were seated in the front row. Before he could reply, the exchange president called me to the stage. The ceremony was about to begin, ladies and gentlemen. I started by speaking, and 3 years ago, I began coding ag. In a small apartment, people called it computer play, and they said I was wasting my potential because they couldn't see that I was creating the future. My eyes met my father's as I. ATA continues to this day, processing more financial data in a second than Wall Street could analyze in a month. She operates within strict ethical and legal guidelines and predicts market movements with near-perfect accuracy. But more importantly, she exemplifies what is possible when you believe in your vision, even when no one else does. The ceremony went forward in accordance with traditional speeches. After the ceremony, my family reluctantly approached Jennifer, who spoke first, and Emma, who said, "I'm so sorry," but the real moment came when our stock price appeared on the big board. The room erupted in cheers as the numbers soared past our projected opening by launch. My personal stake in the company was worth over $300 million, more than 100 times the trust fund my father had signed away. When you tried to explain your work to us, I said, but not unkindly, you all saw what you wanted to see. My father cleared his throat, "Princess," about the trust fund, and I interrupted Jennifer. Jennifer earned it, just like I did. Sometimes, the best thing someone can do for you is to believe that you'll fail because it makes success that much sweeter, but we're family, and my mother objected. "You're right, we are family," I said, looking around at my real family, Maya, and our team, the people who believed in the vision when it was just lines of code in a tiny apartment. That's why I've reserved the private room at Lebaron Arden, which I hear is a good place to celebrate success. My father's face reddened when I mentioned that dinner 6 months ago, but he managed to. As my family marveled at our company's technology and success over pricey wine later that evening, I thought about the long journey that had brought us to this point. The nights I spent coding, while they thought I was wasting time, the meetings they dismissed as computer games, and the victory they tried to give to someone else. My phone buzzed with a message from Maya, saying that our stock closed at twice our projected value, officially making me a. Emma Jennifer pulled me aside and said, "I need to tell you something. After Jim Thompson returned from your office that day, I researched everything I could find about Atna and began purchasing stock." I grinned as I watched my father attempt to explain to these country club friends that his disappointing daughter had built an empire right under his nose. She smiled enough to repay that trust fund 10 times over when I asked if she made money. I told her that I believed in you in every company that showed interest in your technology, even if I didn't show it. Because I'm going to need a lawyer I can trust for our next expansion phase, someone who understands both technology and family, she said, and her eyes widened. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a chance to be part of." When I entered our office building, which is now officially the ATGN Tower, the following morning, I saw a young intern working on code in the lobby during her break. She reminded me of myself when everyone thought I was wasting time on computers. So I told her that sometimes the biggest success stories begin in the smallest apartments. What do you think, sis? Are you ready to play with computers? As I rode the elevator to my office, I thought about legacy. Not the kind my father had tried to force on me, but the kind you build and the recognition dawning in her eyes, Miss Chen. I read about how you built a legacy. And my parents think I'm crazy for choosing programming over law school, but you have a vision I finished for her. Hold on to that, and remember that those who underestimate you today will be reading about you tomorrow. One line of code at a time, Athena was not only revolutionizing the financial industry, but also demonstrating that individuals aren't the only ones who can achieve success. Anticipate it too, and occasionally the finest. The one you're given isn't inheritance. It is one that you make for yourself.